Okay, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. Boom. Blasted. 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 There were ice raids happening as well. Or not ice raids, sorry. There were anti-ice protests happening as well in on the 101 in Los Angeles. We'll talk about that as well. Trump is freezing the tariffs. Breaking news. Let's get into
announced
it.
He will pause the 25% tariffs
I'll be back in a
on
second.
Mexican imports. We have reporters in Mexico City and in the North Lawn of the White House.
I'm glad that he's at least putting a pause on it, and it was just him being fucking. He was doing like what is it, the madman theory or whatever. He was behaving Nixonian like. So he's putting a pause on the tariffs. Oh, I'm pausing them. It didn't make any sense. Oh.
Let's go straight to CNN's Valeria Leon in Mexico City for the latest. Valeria, midnight was the deadline here where tariffs were supposed to be implemented. They're not now. Why?
So in a surprising shift, tariffs on Mexican goods are now on pause after President Sheinbaum and President Trump reached an agreement. So rather than presenting today Mexico's response to the Trump administration tariffs, President Sheinbaum confirmed that she had a conversation with President Trump this morning, what she described as a long call of 45 minutes to talk about immigration issues and the interest that both countries have in reducing fentanyl consumption. Both governments reached an agreement to secure the border. Mexico has agreed on deploying National Guards to the Mexico-U.S. border, and the Mexican president said that she asked Trump to cancel tariffs on Mexican products, which Sheinbaum said that Trump agreed to. Mexico's economy minister, Marcelo Ebrard, will be in charge of this negotiation with U.S. government officials. Let's put the tariffs on pause forever. That's what Mexico's president suggested to Trump this morning, but they agreed to pause tariffs for 1 month. Part of the agreement, she explained, has to do with the U.S. government committing to reducing the traffic arms into Mexico.
Valeria Leon, thanks so much. I want to turn to CNN's Kevin Liptak, who joins me now from the North Lawn at the White House. Kevin, there was also a call with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau this morning. We haven't heard of any pause there, but there is supposed to be another one this afternoon. Is this just a bilateral Mexico-U.S. thing, or do we expect another pause also applying to the Canadians?
Yeah, at this point, this only applies to Mexico. And I'll tell you, after that phone call with Justin Trudeau, officials I talked to on the Canadian side were not all that optimistic about a last-minute reprise from these tariffs. But of course, they have scheduled up this follow-up conversation at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And it, remains to be seen whether Trump will extend the same 1 month pause on those 25% tariffs on Canada as he did on Mexico. One thing that we've heard from officials this morning is that the negotiations with the Mexicans that occurred throughout the weekend were going much better than the conversations were going with the Canadians. We heard that from Kevin Hassett, one of the top economists here at the White House earlier this morning. Now, I think the big question is whether or not this is a huge surprise. We did hear from Donald Trump just last night that he didn't expect anything dramatic to come out of these telephone calls. But on the other hand, look at those numbers on the screen. The stock market, at one point, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down almost 600 points this morning. Donald Trump is attuned to nothing more than the stock market. And I think there was a sense, at least among some of his outside allies, that he was looking for an off-ramp here. Now, one of the big questions in this tariff battle is what exactly Trump was looking for from Canada and Mexico. That had been a point of extreme frustration among Canadian and Mexican officials. What quantifiable metric did he want to see them take in order to ease off these tariffs? Just on Friday, a delegation of Canadian officials was here at the White House meeting with Donald Trump's border czar. They were supposed to meet around 4 p.m. Donald Trump at 4 p.m. says he wasn't looking for any concessions. So there was an incredible amount of confusion. Today, this morning, I think we are getting a good idea of what he's looking for, which is troops on the border, 10,000 troops on the border that Mexico says it will send to try and cut down on those fentanyl flows. Phil.
We'll see what Canada offers in their negotiations. Obviously, 10% tariffs also on China. No indication right now of any calls there. Kevin Liptak, Valeria Leon, thanks so much. It is important to note that tariffs as I noted, on China and Canada have not been paused, at least at this moment. That might explain some of the market reaction. We've seen a pop, but not an entirety of a turnaround. CNN business correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich joins me now. Do we expect a complete rebound here?
I think investors are being cautiously optimistic. This news, obviously, of this pause on tariffs with Mexico has encouraged investors, and you've seen markets recover just a little bit. They were down almost 2%, all of them, earlier this morning, but we've seen a pop. We've seen a recovery. But if you look at specific stocks, specific industries that were expected to be targeted with these tariffs, you see a mix. You see General Motors down over 2%. You see 3M, which is manufacturing, down about 1%, and Constellation Brands. This is a company, an alcohol company that imports and exports from around the world. You see them still down over 2%. So investors still feeling a little bit shaky about whether or not tariffs will also be paused with Canada and Mexico, two of our key trading partners. As it stands right now, tariffs are set to go into effect with Canada, 25%, and about 10% with China. And the goods that are going to be impacted for everyday Americans, you see it right there: grain, livestock, sugar, fertilizer, lumber, oil and gas, only going to be targeted at about a 10% tariff coming in from Canada. And then from China, electronics, home appliances, toys, and footwear. Americans, we buy about 50% of our footwear from China, so that's a significant amount. So we are waiting to see what happens. And of course, Phil, retaliatory tariffs happen. We've already heard from Canada that they're expecting to retaliate with 25% tariffs against.
He was just memeing, dude. He was just memeing. Y'all don't understand. It was just meme style. He's just a little guy. He just wanted to look. Nazi Germany, post World War I, feeling slighted by the rest of the Western world, right? The economy's in the pooper. Very different set of circumstances where they can set up an agenda that they've been wronged by everyone else and that they're a powerful and mighty nation. The United States of America, albeit suffering a little bit due to its own selfish nature, is in a very different circumstance as the hegemonic superpower. So when you make the argument that like all of the other international countries are screwing us over, we are the ones that are constantly being screwed over by everybody else, and that's why we must take action against this sort of thing, you're in an entirely different predicament, because the entirety of the global trade is designed in a way that benefits you. Okay? The entirety of global trade benefits the United States of America. It's like complaining about NATO, which Donald Trump does all the time as well. It makes no sense. Why would you complain about NATO when NATO is there for you? It's stupid. That's my point. Here's the Canada call that just came in as well. Just had a good call with President Trump. Canada's implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. We will list all cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. I've also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl, and we'll be backing it with $200 million. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. The most giga chat thing is Claudia made Trump admit the cartels are only armed because of the American weapons trade. Latinas stay winning. Yeah, Claudia is great. I saw famously when you import something, you're being ripped off. So when you import Indian-made iPhones, the U.S. is being ripped off. I think it's also very funny that they're forcing Canada's hand into like spending money on the most nonsensical bullshit. Like, what is it? It was like 43 kilograms of fentanyl total that was apprehended. And before people say, oh, dude, that's a lot of like lethal doses or whatever. No, it's not. Okay. It's nothing in comparison to the metric ton of drugs that are being trafficked over the fucking border in general. Okay. Let alone border apprehensions are not, you know, they're probably not a long-term solution. I just don't understand. Oh, it's 43 pounds. Not even 43 kilograms. That's so crazy. That's crazy. To be fair, fentanyl is measured in micrograms, so 43 kilograms is a lot. No, it's 19 kilograms. Is this a L or a W for Trump? It's a secret third thing. It's not an L and it's not a W. It's just like a secret third thing, okay? That's what it is for Donald Trump. It's not a W because he didn't do shit. He did the classic, like, create a problem and then simultaneously fix the problem. No problem existed in the beginning. He phrased troops on the border differently than Mexico and are and will be working on protecting the border. Also, with the 1.3 billion on border measures was already decided before. Yeah.
Goods that are coming out of the U.S. and into Canada. We'll see. There's another call, as you mentioned, scheduled with Trudeau later this afternoon. Will there be a turnaround like there was with Mexico, Phil? We'll have to wait and see.
All right, Vanessa Yurkevich, thanks so much. Joining me now for more on this, former Michigan Congressman and Governor James Blanchard also served as the U.S. ambassador to Canada. Sir, the biggest question right now is this the start of a complete turnaround, or is Donald Trump planning to split this on some level, and Canada is still going to have to face the tariffs? Do you have any insight right now?
Now, I think there are people hoping there'll be some sort of deal soon and work things out. It's harder with Canada because the basis for attacking them it's ridiculous. Trump is accusing them of being a national security threat. That's absurd. We share all intelligence. We've been allies with Canada since World War I. There's minuscule amounts of fentanyl coming in from Canada, and there are more migrants going north to Canada than south from Canada to the U.S. So the basis of all this is absurd. Hopefully it'll get worked out. But if we don't, the prices in Michigan and elsewhere, cost of living on food, cars, automobiles, will go up. It's inflationary. And look, everybody who knows anything about Canada and trade knows what I'm saying is true. Beyond that, though, if we get a deal or a reprieve or something, the long-term damage to our relations with Canada has really, really been severe. This is not the feelings of Canadians. Our best friend, our best partner, our best allies have been really devastated. They're not only hurt, they're at this point angry. It's going to take a lot of time, many months, maybe years, to repair the damage.
Stupid question from a German chatter, me. How serious is fentanyl in the U.S.? Is it actually a scourge on the people? And or is the means proposed to solve it inadequate? The answer to is both. Yes. The answer to both is yes. Yes. It is a massive, massive problem. Okay. Opioid overdoses are huge in our country. It is a genuinely devastating force upon the population. And maybe unsurprisingly, the second part of the question, the answer is still yes. Our solutions are inadequate. In the past couple of decades, since fentanyl became like an issue of ginormous importance, the only time fentanyl overdoses opiate overdoses have actually lowered year over year was under the Biden administration, which is ironic because they did it with harm reduction measures. The Republicans constantly complained about it. And also the Biden administration never actually hailed that as a heroic effort. You might have known about the Biden administration harm reduction efforts and their success because you watch me. I've talked about it. The media rarely covered it. The Biden administration did not even choose to do any sort of promotion of that, of these programs, or rather, they did do promotions of these programs, but they never really promoted how successful that was. And it is truly, truly shocking. The people that are most responsible for this, they have names, they have addresses. We know who they are. That's the other side of the story as well. It's the Sacklers, right? Purdue Pharmaceutical is owned by an incredibly wealthy family, and a family of incredibly wealthy people who personally were invested in the trafficking of opiates and the marketing of opiates. They set up think tanks, harm reduction facilities, pain management facilities, and greatly overprescribed OxyContin, told doctors to do so. This is the reason why Americans got addicted to heroin. Were they punished? No. Jewish family. I love this notion that it's like, yeah, it's only, yeah, it's the Sacklers. Sacklers are a Jewish family. That's what's most important here. You know, their religious background. Yeah. When Christian billionaires fuck me over, that's fine because they're Christian. That's what I care about. Good stuff. Nan Golden got the Sackler name taken off of several museums through protests over their oxy dealings. Okay, but they should be in prison. All right, let's continue.
Damage to our partnership with our trusted ally, Canada, and everyone in Canada watching this knows what I say is true. This is tragic for no reason, no excuse here for us to do this to Canada. And with Mexico, again, you don't want to treat your partners and your neighbors this way. And by the way, it's disgusting to watch Trump constantly threaten Canada and Mexico.
Damn, this guy loves Canada, bro. Why don't you marry it? Okay, calm down. It's disgusting what we've done to our best friend Canada. I mean, it is a ridiculous thing that Donald Trump has done. Make no mistake. To put it in a way foreign chatters can understand, my brother used to go to the walk-in clinic and pretend that he had a sore throat, then walk out with a liquid codeine prescription. It was scary. It was scary, easy to get your hands on it. Yeah. I mean, he did it again, man. The mad lad did it. The more I think about it, the funnier it gets. But like, Donald Trump used to do this all the time. I guess we forgot, where he would just be like, where he'd be like, I'm going to shake things up a little bit. And then he would, you know, break something for no reason and then quote unquote seemingly fix it by just reversing the previous decision to break something that didn't have to be that makes no sense to break. You know what I mean? And the tariff thing just simply did not make sense. Like when I say no reason, seriously, yes, no reason. Like, dude, come on, dude. You think there was a logical reason? Oh God, it's so freaking annoying. The lighting changes are pissing me off. You think there was a valid reason to apply tariffs to 55% of our trade partners? Like our partners that comprise 55% of all trade? Like what's the severe problem? Tariffs have to be hyper specific. They have to be hyper targeted. They have to be done. They have to be applied in a way that benefits domestic manufacturing in a key sector. Okay? You can't just be like, "Oh, I'm doing like complete trade tariffs, like all tariffs." It doesn't make sense. If you do that for anything but an economic reason, it has to be ginormous. You mean like Canada did? Yeah, no, that's a great example. Canada's counter tariffs are perfectly reasonable because it was a counter tariff. It is a retaliatory tariff. Yes, that is an appropriate way to do tariffs because you're hitting the nuclear option because your psychotic neighbor decided to go after you for no reason whatsoever. So yeah, that is logical because notice how that's a defensive posture there. It's basically to say, hey, we'll make your economy scream as well. We'll make sure that your key businesses are undermined. We'll lower trade from you and we'll go trade with Canada instead. That's it. That makes a lot more sense than being the United States of America who kickstarts the tariffs to begin with. Also, it seemingly worked, you know, considering that Donald Trump backed down and put a pause on the tariffs anyway. So what are you talking about?
In Canada's case, constantly threatened Canada and belittle them as he's moving on.
Like I love that the impact of the retaliatory tariffs was successful. So successful that it caused Trump to back down. And there are still chatters in here being like, you mean like what Canada did? Your Nixonian madman theory might be right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. He's basically saying like, I'm fucking insane. Okay, don't mess with me, I guess.
That he could agree to change your mind on the tariff?
Well, we can always, but look, what I'd like to.
It seems like this must be a negotiation tactic. This sounds so insane, but friends in the Canadian government have told me that he hasn't privately conveyed any other actual demands. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. There's no real reason for it. Okay? Like, there's no real, it just doesn't make sense. It literally does not make sense. Is he absolutely lost his mind? I don't know. He's just trying some shit out, seeing what sticks, I guess. I don't know. Because this is the other side of the story, is that like, when asked why he's doing this, because people kept saying like, why are you doing this? And he just kept saying tariff is the best word in the English language. Like, what? Tariffs, my favorite word, best word in the English language, no better word than tariffs. And then they'd be like, why are you doing this to Canada? And he'd be like, well, drugs. Canada's letting fentanyl come over the border. Snow Mexico. We have Mexico on the southern border, snow Mexicans on the north. We must stop them. Like, he just needed something to run on as an answer to his base. They could easily implement a rollback with no one else's input.
To see Canada become our 51st state, we give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina.
Another part of this story that I'm a little bit alarmed by is the Republican reaction to it. The Republicans have been just like begging to invade Canada, you know, in this process. Like we all went from like, haha, that's not going to happen, to like Republicans being like, no, we actually want to kill Canadians. Like, can we please annex Canada? And it happened relatively quickly. It happened overnight. And it is a bit alarming. It is a bit alarming. Despite its proximity, Canada has still been able to maintain some semblance of social safety nets. They have a litany of their own personal issues, but I will admit that I think they're better off without us, and that they should not be destroyed by our sweet, sweet freedom of private enterprise. I really, really, really think that it would be devastating, and it would be cruel and unusual for Canada to become a part of America, no matter how much dumbass Albertans wish that upon their own people. Okay? Canada, get behind me. I'll protect you. Okay? Canadians, get behind me. Stand back, stand by. I will do everything in my power to ensure that you are not destroyed by the United States of America. Okay? Look at this dipshit. After we destroy the Canadian economy, their will to resist will erode. We will then march in unopposed and deliver Canada to its rightful place as a territory of the U.S. with no political representation. Honestly, you seem disinterested about annexing Canada? Yes. American Anschluss. That's funny. Yeah, shit's popping off with U.S. aid. The best part of the concessions that both Mexico and Canada gave today are that both of them are pre-promised stuff they already talked about last year and sold them to Trump as a win for him. Lamau, they gave him basically nothing, and it's funny as shit. Yeah, but it also still doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense as to why it happened to begin with. It did not need to happen. Also, Central Committee, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream, brother. Thanks for defending us, but does that mean that you specifically will stop your cruel Canadian slander? No, I will never stop my cruel Canadian slander. This is like when I talk shit about every state and the people in it, and then when push comes to shove, and I obviously will always defend every single person in every single state, no matter what, you know? I'm not going to stop making fun of Canada. I don't know what's going on with the ending of U.S. aid. Like, I genuinely don't understand it. Is MAGA communism real? Is it actually JD Pondon? These are questions that I have in my mind. And I don't know. That is like one aspect of the story that is hard to also decipher. I guess most aspects of the story are hard to decipher, but this is yet another aspect of the story that's hard to decipher. Not dissimilar to the Luca trade, okay?
Or any one of our Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars, they could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this? Why are we willing to lose between $100 billion and $200 billion a year? We don't need them. As a state, it's different. As a state, it's much different, and there are no tariffs. So I'd love to see that, but some people say that would be a long shot. If people wanted to play the game right, it would be 100% certain that they'd become a state. But a lot of people don't like to play the game because they don't have a threshold of pain. And there would be some pain, but not a lot. The pain would be really there. So we're going to meet again.
Don't jump. Some dudes are typing in own a pixel chat that you want to debate with him. Lamau, who's own a pixel? Trump announced he's cutting off aid to UNRWA. Least surprising turn of events. Also, the Biden admin, you know, still following the Biden admin attitude here. What is this? When most people hear tariff, they think about how it sounds like sheriff and taffy combined. Delicious, yet deadly. You're right. That is an interesting take that I hadn't thought of. He's the best German of all time? Hell yeah. What are we going to debate on? CS Gamba addict? I think if America forcibly annexed Canada and tried to turn it into a state, you'd see some... the Quebecois would teach you the meaning of real terrorism, okay? Like, the Quebecers already are angry being a part of Canada in general. I can't think of anything worse. Like, dude, imagine you're a Quebecer and now you have to be a part of America. Oh my Lord. They would make the IRA look like a tickle party, I think. And of course, as is the case with most emancipatory movements, I probably would find myself aligning with them in spite of my disagreements on many of their internal affairs. And then maybe people would write articles about how much of a radical terrorism lover I am because I'm not simply on board with forcibly annexing Quebec. You know, UK won't get tariffs as we don't produce shit. Most goated U.S. vassal state. Now what, Israel? Oh, Trump says ceasefire might not hold. Oh, man. Update on Trump's meeting with Netanyahu. I mean, what holds nowadays anyway? Jesus Christ. Netanyahu is visiting Washington to convince Trump to carve an exception for Israel out of his wider America First agenda. U.S. foreign aid will revolve around facilitating Israel's ethnic cleansing and regional domination goals and maintaining alliances that serve Israeli interests. Israeli outlet Ynet reports that during Netanyahu's visit this week, the Israelis plan to show Trump shortened version of the film they made of the October 7 attacks. Recall that Joe Biden repeatedly made false claims about seeing videos and images of beheadings of children and other specific atrocities that did not happen or being shown footage by Israel. Okay, interesting opportunity here. This backfires. Trump gets really mad that they showed him, like, you know, all of this gory footage. He doesn't care. You think he cares? He sat in front of the Israeli hostage families and described the gruesome ways in which some of their family members were murdered. Okay, this man does not care about anything. Okay, if you show him even a shortened version, an abbreviated version of the atrocities that took place on October 7, he's going to sit there and he's going to get pissed off, not about the atrocities themselves, but at the people forcing him to watch this. Okay, yeah, he's going to be like, they made me watch this video. I hated it. I hated every moment of it. Such terrible events. That's right. We are now officially ending the state of Israel for the crime of making me watch this video. Nasty video. Like, also, this is crazy. I feel like he's such a monster. He wouldn't be bothered by it. No, he'd be annoyed. That's what I'm saying. Joe Biden will watch it and go, Joe Biden will watch it and obviously do an entire unlimited genocide. Donald Trump already is down to do an unlimited genocide anyway. I don't know why you're making him watch this. Pretty sure Netanyahu's convinced him to go after South Africa. Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a certainty. Netanyahu is the reason why he also issued sanctions on Bensouda, the last prosecutor at the ICC. The last prosecutor that, at the ICC that he applied sanctions to.
That you were going to cut aid from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations, and why South Africa?
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating.
Trump refuses to watch a video like you refuse to watch Ethan's, Lamont. Yeah, the difference is Donald Trump didn't do October 7, whereas Ethan's video is about me. I don't have to watch a video that I'm in prominently. The video is about me, calling me a terrorist for shit that I have said that is clipped out of context. Like, you know what? Let me explain something to you guys. I wanted to mention this. Look at this, okay? On my YouTube, there's a video called Hassan versus Ethan Explained. Okay. It's sitting at 500,000 views. It's from October 25th, 2024. I want you to watch that video and see how many of the claims that are in Ethan's new context nuke that are directly in this video and have been addressed. Now, this video has been out for 3 months. It's been out for 3 months, 3 whole months. Maybe Ethan's content nuke was already addressed before it ever came out. Could have saved himself that trouble of sitting in the editing room for months and months. But that's not the point. The point is he wants to turn it into content. It's gross. Like, he wants to turn my reaction into content. And I suspect that he will continue doing that and constantly present it as like how much he has owned me and how frazzled I am over and over again. And, you know, that's it. Yeah, he wants a feedback loop of call and response. Exactly. He can't actually have he can't actually talk to me in person about any number of different issues because he knows that he is ill-equipped. So he will consistently hide behind Instagram stories and his YouTube live feed that he heavily monitors the chat in, that he's basically culled any sort of dissent in his own community in, and carefully crafted an audience that is receptive to this sort of thing, mostly because of Epstein's fanboys that are brigading that he wants in his community, slowly but surely reshaping his community into a very toxic one, you know? Yeah, wait, now you're claiming to be the world's foremost expert on Hassan Piker. I think you need to study up, pal. Yeah. The comments on the live show were hard. The comments on the live show were coming for him hard. Members weren't happy. I know, but it doesn't matter. He just keeps banning those comments. He just keeps banning his own members and just moving on and thinking like, no, I'm on a righteous quest. The difference is I'm not fucking, what do you call it? Ryan Kavanaugh or whatever his name is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not some random social media billionaire who's done a bunch of shit. This isn't over like me genuinely wronging someone. This is entirely personal. You feel slighted. Careful, you are showing your power level. I know. You feel slighted. You feel upset that your own fan base obviously got mad at you for your lackluster defense of Palestine. And instead of addressing it and going back to the drawing board, trying to understand why people were getting mad at you this way because of your output, because of the words you were using, you decided to consistently level up and just cry more and more. And literally the entire point revolves around like, no, you guys don't understand. I'm the true defender of Palestine, guys. Me, I'm the true defender, not Hassan. He's actually a terrorist. And then a bunch of other disinterested people who, after 16 months, are still running around being like, no, he's not a good defender of Palestinian, the Palestinian plight. I am. It's additionally wild because he's, you know, would you say that the Ethan Klein versus Hassan Piker video was Meet the Grams? I don't know. I don't care about making a comparison here between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, to be honest. It's silly. Yeah. NFKRZ even defended you, saying that he's just using typical Israeli talking points to call people who are against Israel. Dude, yes. It's planes falling out of the sky. Donald Trump ushering in the Fourth Reich, burger style. Okay. Israel has all but completed its genocide in North Gaza, or at least tried to complete it. Ceasefires on shaky grounds. You know, virtually every building in Gaza destroyed. And one of the most outspoken, most attacked defenders of Palestinians being called a fucking terrorist over and over again. I feel like if you consider yourself to be a progressive person, your priorities are entirely out of whack. You can try to say, no, I just simply want like a better liberal advocacy for Palestinians all day, every day. But most people understand what the fuck's going on. That's it. This is precisely the reason why it's like, that's literally not true. The video showed receipts and is obviously wants to defend his name since your fan base drags him. His whole point is he defends Gaza, but he thinks Jewish people don't deserve to die. Maybe watch the whole video instead of clips. Maybe Ethan should actually, you know, remember the conversations that we had in person for 2 hours instead of literally clip chimping those very same conversations a year after the fact to put it in his video where he calls me a fucking terrorist over and over again, a terrorist sympathizer over and over again, like his goddamn Steven Crowder. But because it's about Israel, people don't have the comprehension skills to understand what he's doing. Just debate then because this is sad. Shut the fuck up. I already said I wanted to. He's the one who's like, you have to watch my video first, which is ridiculous. I'm the subject matter of the video. If he wants to have a conversation with me, we had a podcast, you know? Yeah. Yeah, you don't understand. He just doesn't want Jewish people to die. Yeah, I don't either, dumbass. The fuck are you talking about? Like, what is this argument? Yeah, you think I want Jewish people to die? What are you, stupid? Are you insane? Oh, I didn't realize he had such a reasonable position. His receipts are 17-second clips over and over again. All right, anyway. Are you going to let today be derailed by Drama Slob? Because you say I never talk about drama and shout down anyone who asks you to move on, then talk about it for another 2 hours. The 90% of us is white noise. This is true. You are correct. Yeah. Yeah, the guy who in the month of October when talking, or in the month of November when talking to me, called Jewish Voice for Peace Capos is the true pro-Palestinian voice. And he's just simply trying to make sure that everyone is pro-Palestine the right way. Come on, guys. He gave my fundraiser money. He can't be that bad. He gave my fundraiser that this community did, where we raised millions of dollars, okay? He gave that fundraiser money. He can't. He's come on. Yeah. He paid the fee. He paid the fee so that he could spend the next year fucking shitting on virtually everyone. Virtually everyone that was involved with that fundraiser by calling them terrorists, and also even successfully getting them banned by demanding they get banned over hummus, dude. Like, I was so charitable for an entire year, but you know, there's a point where it's like, come on, let's get real. You're giving him and his goons exactly what they want right now. I know. Yeah, I know. All right, let's get back to the fucking tariffs. Everybody understands what's what here.
With his policies. It is really insulting, and it is a terrible representative of the leader of the United States of America. No American president has ever acted like this toward Canada, or
Can I ask
frankly,
you,
almost anybody else.
To the point,
He broke up.
to the point you're making right now, when you talk to your diplomatic contacts in Canada, what is their view? I understand the anger. I understand the frustration. What are they telling you about what the end game is, kind of the bilateral relationship, what it means going forward?
I mean, look, they need to work something out. You know, every trade deal, every trade agreement has off-ramps. I mean, the U.S., Canada, Mexico trade agreement was scheduled to be reviewed next year. So there's probably a fig leaf that Canada can give Trump if they want to, that Trump will accept and proclaim victory, like invading Normandy or something. Look, we're dealing with an abnormal guy in the White House. We all know that. The problem Canadians have is they don't understand why the United States Senate is standing up to him. They really wonder about that. Sure, there could be a short-term solution, a few more border guards, something like that, which Canada can easily do and would do. I mean, look, we share the patrol of the Great Lakes. We have Americans, Coast Guard, and Canadian in the same boats, all right? And I'm sensitive to that, being from Michigan. So cooperation has been the hallmark, not conflict. They can work something out, but I'm telling you, this has gone too far. And I think most people, as I said, who are friends of Canada and the United States agree with me. Canada does not deserve this. They deserve their respect and friendship, and we're going to repair the damage.
I think that we have.
Okay. New polling on the Trump tariffs. Paraphrasing Howard Stern's mother, something horrible has happened. That's how most Americans feel about Trump tariffs. They don't like them. Wait, what? Why? Dude, why are...
Look at this.
Dude, every time I see Harry Enton on television doing focus testing or showcasing polls, and virtually everyone says like, oh, dude, what the fuck are tariffs? Everybody started Googling tariffs. I am reminded of the thing that I tell you all the time, okay? Americans are very stupid. Americans don't understand the impact of government action until that government action is staring down, that government action is about to impact their lives, or that government action has impacted their lives, okay? This is precisely the reason why I laugh whenever people go, well, you don't understand, like 56% of Americans want to kill every Mexican. It's like, yeah, okay, dude, sure, right? Wait till it fucking starts happening, and then you'll go, oh, everyone is Googling why the American government is killing Mexicans. It's the same shit. And this is not just America. It happened with Brexit. This is just the global population, okay? Specifically, or especially in the Western world. But this is just how it is. How many times does this have to happen for you guys to go, okay, maybe polling on issues like this are not necessarily the most, not necessarily the most comprehensive way of approaching the subject matter. Not necessarily the best way of seeing how the people are going to react to something once it happens. Look at the TikTok ban, okay? Look at the fucking TikTok ban. Americans wanted the TikTok ban at the time when the legislation was happening. It's like, no, they didn't, okay? They did not. They did not. Look at the fucking numbers. You got 170 million people using this goddamn application. What? Why would they want their treats taken away? Until something happens, most Americans are not going to reckon with the reality of it, okay? That's it. That's it. Also, it doesn't really matter because the American government does not actually operate on the basis of popular democracy anyway. It's not like the American government goes, oh, wow, this particular thing is very popular. Let's do it. They do the exact opposite more consistently. You would have an easier time understanding what the American government is going to do if you were to look at something with like broad popularity and then expect the government to do the exact opposite of that thing that is broadly popular. And that is how it works. Oh my God. Always and forever and consistently. It sucks. But here it is. Most Americans are now Googling what tariffs are. Okay? Most Americans are now Googling what tariffs are. They are terrified of Trump's tariffs. It's like, yeah, no shit. How many fucking on the street interviews do we see of people just being like, nah, you don't understand, brother. Tariffs are going to be great. Egg prices are going to go down with the tariffs. It's like, what? How? Your expectation is the opposite of what is supposed to happen. If broad tariffs are implemented on 55%, 60% of our trade partners, all trade, it's the exact opposite. Is there a particular reason? Do you want to move all trade to India? Is that what it is? Or Vietnam or something? Like, have you set this up already ahead of time? Do you have a competent, competitive domestic industry that will keep up with the additional demand? Do you have a way of ensuring price stability so that the competent domestic manufacturing increases production in a way to keep up with the demand without increasing the prices on the consumer side? No. If the answer is no to all of these things, then what the fuck are you doing? Like, oh, well, Trump said it's going to be good, so I think it's going to be good. Oh, no. What has happened? Where my egg gone? Why is everything so expensive? Why is everything getting more and more expensive? I don't understand it. And then in the process, some people are going to turn around and say, it's actually patriotic to pay more for the price of eggs, brother. You fucking piece of shit. You goddamn libtard. You don't understand. America #1. Okay. And then the other people are going to look at the situation and go, it's because of black people working in the factories. That's why. DEI, my poultry facility, is what caused the bird flu, avian flu, they're calling it, which is also simultaneously woke and gay and made up, but also a devastating virus caused by the Chinese. None of it makes sense. All of it is politics of resentment and spite. None of it makes sense. There is no logic behind it. There's no critical thinking, barely any literacy in this goddamn country. I don't know what the fuck to say.
I feel like Howard Stern's mother, something horrible has happened here. That's what's going on here, getting on my biggest New York Jewish accent I could. Trump's tariffs on Canada, China, Mexico. Look at this. Just 38% support. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to figure out that 51% oppose is larger than the 38% support. Look, Trump has done some fairly popular things in his first few weeks in office. This is not one of them. No, no, no. Horrible, 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 to quote Charles Barkley. The American folks are opposed to these tariffs when you ask it specifically like this about the three countries, or if you ask it more vaguely about tariffs overall, they simply put, do not like it, Mr.
It's interesting. Even with China in the question, people say that they are opposed to tariffs. The majority here, and there's not a majority on a lot of things these days. How about how Americans say they want to see Donald Trump focused in this first 100 days and whether tariffs should be a focus.
You know, the two big focuses for Trump in the polling are immigration and the economy. Tariffs ain't it, my dear friend. Tariffs ain't it. Trump should focus on tariffs. In November of 2024, when Ipsos asked it was 1%. Look at what happened in December of 2024. Doubled. It doubled, but to only 2%. When you double to only 2%, you know that the American people don't want Trump's focus to be here. They don't like it. They don't want his focus to be there. They want it to be on other issues.
Are they paying attention? Do they notice that this is happening?
Yeah, so the big question is, you know, Trump has done a lot of things that are unpopular in the past, but the poll numbers haven't moved. That may be the case here, but I'm a little skeptical of that. Why?
Bro, I got family with accounting degrees that still believe what Trump says about tariffs. I don't understand. Is macro econ not like a part of the conversation? What is happening? Like, is there no, like, in order to become a CPA, you definitely have to have a basic understanding of this sort of stuff. Dude, why? What is accounting is microeconomics? What are you talking about? You still need to take macro. What are you saying? Macro econ in college is fake and lib coded. It's literally, I took principles of macroeconomics in college. Guys, what is insane about this process is I shouldn't be defending it. Okay? They should be defending it. Okay? They should be saying the words that are coming out of my mouth. If you're an accountant, you should be like, what the fuck? This is so dumb. I took a basic macro course in college before I got my accounting license. Okay? So I'm somewhat familiar with what is going on. That's what they should be. That's the conversation that should be taking place. Why am I defending it? It doesn't make sense. What is this? We got Egg Watch. Okay, you did a horrible job linking this, chatter. 22 Egg Watch currently, oh my God, 812. Are there even eggs in any of the grocery stores right now in America? Because I've been eating a shit ton of eggs out here, whether it be a tamago sando or whether it be when I go to a sukiyaki place and I dip my Wagyu in it, you know, I dip my Wagyu in the broth and then I pull it out of the broth and then I dip it in the fucking egg and then I eat it. That's what I did last night. Actually, it was incredible. And, you know, it's amazing. It's going to be really horrible when I come back to the United States and realize that eggs don't even exist on the fucking shelves anymore because of the goddamn avian flu. And it's good that, you know, we've destroyed the FDA, the CDC, and the NIH. So that's cool. I guess when you kill the institutions that are supposed to inform the public about these sorts of things, then no one really knows what's going on and they just simply don't have eggs on the shelves. And then people go, oh, these eggs must be flying off the shelves because it's so cheap, I think. And I can never seem to find some eggs because Donald Trump brought forth the most bountiful with his incredible leadership. Donald Trump once again brought such bounties upon the American public. We have been visited by good fortune. The real golden age of eggs is upon us. Trump's great leap backwards. That's for half a dozen. You may notice a price increase on eggs at this time due to the recent avian influenza outbreak in the Midwest. That's crazy, but also, have you thought maybe it's actually libtards that eggs? Ooh, we lost an egg truck in East Los Angeles this morning. Yeah. Traffic alert. Egg truck crash causing major delays on 5 freeway through East Los Angeles. Good stuff. At least they're sharing the real reason. Imagine we'll be getting public health alerts on fucking grocery shelves now. Oh, yeah. For context, in Canada, I can get a carton of eggs for $4 CAD, $277 USD. Okay, dude, what do you want me to do about it? I'm over here talking about how we shouldn't annex Canada, and you're making it seem like we should. Okay? Stop giving the game away. You're about to get slapped with a fucking tariff. Dude, the flex is crazy, by the way. Expensive eggs delivered to my home in the UK, $3.15 for a dozen. USA absolutely tanking. The new Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy, state's top public diplomacy official, not only denies the Uyghur genocide, but appears to applaud it. Says the U.S. should sell out Taiwan and China for concessions to Antarctica. What? The Chinese aren't genocidal. They just object to Uyghur supremacy and Uyghurness. If Uyghurs simply reject Uyghur supremacy, they'll have no problem functioning in Chinese society. Okay, wait, what? Is this a joke? No fucking shot. There is no way. What? What? Uyghur supremacy? That's insane. No, it's got to be a meme. I've never seen somebody with a globe emoji defend China to a degree where they are outflanking fucking tankies, dude. Like this guy is unironically outflanking China defenders. Okay, what the fuck? Even like the most hog-like defenders of Chinese actions in Xinjiang will at least say like, oh, they're separatist terrorists that like the American CIA by to disrupt Chinese affairs, right? And they had to be dealt with by a surveillance state or whatever, right? I've never heard somebody hit that like liberal tone of being like, this is like saying Hamas is actually advocating for like Islamic supremacy over Israel. That's why Israel has to destroy them. Taiwan will inevitably belong to China. It's only a matter of time. It's not worth expending any capital to prevent. A visionary statesman will recognize this and make a deal in exchange for acknowledgement of this basic reality. Get some serious concessions on Africa and Antarctica. Big deal to be made. If Uyghurs don't like anti-Uyghur racism, it must be because they are Uyghur nationalists who think all of China is for Uyghurs only. Bro, I have literally never heard that. What is he saying? I have never heard that from even like the most insane Salafist guy who's like a Uyghur separatist is not like all of China belongs to us. What the fuck? I don't think there's a single guy. I don't think there is a single fucking Uyghur dude who's like, no, you don't understand. The entirety of China is ours. Okay? That's like, I don't even think the hogs in China believe that that is what they're saying. This is awesome. This is a new type of guy. Chat, you don't understand. I've never seen a new type of guy like this before. This guy's awesome. Amazing. Amazing. The same guy that said this. Competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men. This guy's insane. It's real, and he was appointed. The fucking ADL, your fave, wrote an article about how he was a Nazi before, but they deleted it just now because they don't want to offend Trump. Now that Darren Beattie has been tapped to serve at the State Department, the ADL has dutifully removed the press release on their website where they call him a Nazi white supremacist. Dude, come on. Dude. This is such a weird guy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to me that this is like a white supremacist hog who also is like seemingly very pro-China. Like pro-China to a degree where he's outflanking what the Chinese state's statements are on the Uyghurs in general. I've never heard Uyghur supremacy before, and I've seen a variety of different hogs on this issue. I have never heard that before. ADL slams White House tapping of ex-speechwriter who spoke at far-right event. It's outrageous that someone who consorted with racism would be considered for a position on a commission devoted to preserving Holocaust memorials in Europe, said ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt. Anti-Defamation League has called on the White House to rescind the November 18th appointment of Darren Beattie as a member of the Commission of the Preservation of America's Heritage Abroad, an independent agency the U.S. government established in 1985 to report on cemeteries, monuments, and historic buildings in Central Eastern Europe, particularly Holocaust killing sites. Beattie was a White House speechwriter before leaving his post in 2018 following a report that he gave a speech 2 years earlier at a far-right conference. It's downright shocking that the White House has appointed Darren Beattie, who once attended an event with white supremacists and participated in a panel discussion with white nationalist Peter Brimelow, to serve as a member of a commission specifically created to help preserve the memory of Jewish victims of Nazi atrocities during the Holocaust. Can we count on you, Patriot? DHS, FBI, DOD have declared white supremacy the #1 threat, and doggone it, they are right. But did you know the KKK were demon rats? The Nazi were socialists? That Biden was pro-cop 30 years ago? Racist. Moo, a donation to GOP to fight the real racists. What? He hates the ADL and Jonathan Greenblatt. Right now, the disgraced water bottle merchant Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL is plotting to nuke Twitter from orbit. Disgraced water. Oh my God. He does the watermelon merchant. He does the watermelon merchant memes, but for Jonathan Greenblatt. What is happening? What the fuck? For those of you who don't know, Turks will say Erdogan is a watermelon merchant. Like he sold watermelon. Like Turks that are critical of Erdogan, that's what they'll say. It's the meme. Disgraced water bottle merchant Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL has done more damage to Jews than just about any other American alive. Time for regime change. Oh, by the way, I think Darren Beatty is Jewish himself. Just before, I think he is. I think Darren Beatty is also Jewish. Which, by the way, far from the first nor the last Jewish Nazi in the Trump administration. Obviously, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump's second in command when it comes to all of the white nativist anti-immigrant sentiment coming out of the administration. Stephen Miller also is Jewish. So, just remember that being Jewish is not stopping some of the Trump administration members from being out and about white supremacist Nazis. Darren Beatty, a former Trump speechwriter, was controversial appointing due to his ties to white supremacist linked L. Mencken. Disgraced ADL warns Elon against restoring the following specific accounts. The ADL doesn't have the power people think they do. You can really tell the disgraced water bottle merchant Jonathan Greenblatt to fuck off. The ADL hilariously forced Nick Canada to write a book report on the ADL's Jonathan Greenblatt. Why does he? Remove ADL from the search bar and type CCP. What? CCP openly flaunting democratic values. China wants sissy dolls and effeminate men scrubbed from entertainment industry. The famous internet. Globalist American empire is more evil than the CCP. Wait, what? FBI is a far greater danger to Americans than the CCP. What is going on? Afghanistan's situation sets the tone for a series of humiliations for the globalist American empire over the course of the 21st century. Taiwan will belong to CCP in 30 years or less. It's not the CCP pressuring Elon to censor, it's the ADL and the disinformation industry's trust and safety mafia of the globalist American empire. CCP sucks and zero COVID sucks, but China is weakest and dumbest attack vector against Apple. Dude, what? What is happening? What is going on? This is a new guy. It's a whole new type of guy. Like, we have in our midst a white supremacist, neo-Nazi of Jewish origin and background that is a China simp? Like, what? How did that happen? How do you make a guy like that? How do you put those four factors into one guy? What is, I don't understand. And he has a globe emoji on his fucking Twitter. You sound like a proud ethologist who just discovered a new species of beetle. I did. Because I'm fascinated with politics and the characters that occupy the American government. Okay. And as someone who is a documenter of the curious nature of American politics, when I find an entirely new type of guy that I haven't even envisioned in my mind as a bit, it's a shocking revelation. Okay? It means that the stupidity of American politics is unmatched. It's got to be, yeah, most of what he's saying are bits probably, but even then, I just don't understand, like, American anti-China propaganda attacks CCP narratives. Chinese anti-American propaganda reinforces ruling class government narratives. The fact that he writes CCP and not CPC shows that he's just role-playing. Yeah. If I told you, if I invented a guy, as I do regularly, and the guy was a Jewish neo-Nazi who was pro-China, okay, you would be like, come on, dude. You would just tell me I'm delusional. Like I've made up a new guy that is not supposed to exist. Okay? It doesn't make sense. But to be fair, I often joke. Look, I've often joked about the pro-NATO voter. And I joked a little too close to the sun, because not only was there a pro-NATO voter, okay, he actually tried to take action, take matters into his own hands. His name was Ryan Ruth. Okay? After Ryan Ruth, after we found out that a guy like that exists in the wild, I ate some humble pie. And I realized that maybe I should be more careful with the guys I'm inventing. So this is not shocking me any longer, okay? Not everything deserves a reaction. Sometimes you just sit back and you watch, okay? It was a Ryan Ruth was a pivotal moment for me. It was a learning moment for me. And since then, I've learned to just kick it, you know? If things are out of your power, you just got to sometimes watch it. BD spoke at a conference of the racist and extremist H.L. Mencken Club, where he participated in a discussion with Brimlow, the creator of the racist and anti-immigrant website VDare. As we have said before, there's no place in any presidential administration or government commission for an individual who would attend and participate in such a well-known racist event. It is absolutely outrageous that someone who consorted with racists would even be considered for a position in the commission devoted to preserving Holocaust memorials in Europe. In another tweet, Beatty wrote, the ADL is truly the enemy of the people. I mean, he's not wrong about the ADL, but, you know, not the best guy to be saying these things, I think. Big W for Trump today, though, with Mexico and Canada. Dude, it's not a W if... Okay. It's not a W if I go to the playground and take away your toy, okay, and then tell you that I'm taking away your toy for no real reason whatsoever, and then we have a conversation and I give you the toy back. You had the toy on step one. I'm the one who fucked it up for you, and now I'm just handing it back to you. That's not a W. Yeah, but they're fixing the borders as a result. What are you talking about? Okay, now I'm beginning to understand who Donald Trump was doing this for. It's people like Sergeant Gonzo. What do you mean fixing the border? Do you think there was, like, it's even funnier because we're talking about the Canadian border, okay? Like, the southern border is one thing. I have also often joked about how, oh, why don't we do border prevention in the northern border as well? Which seemingly Trump heard those concerns and was like, yeah, that's right. We should also fix the northern border. Like, what do you think was fixed in the border? Yeah, build the northern wall. Look at the Trudeau tweet. No, I know. One of the few things coming out of this is the amount of Canada coverage you are doing. What is this? Chatters like this person will unironically behave like this. I'm willing to pay more for quality products if they're made in America by Americans who are paid a decent income. You guys don't even think fast food workers should make a livable wage. Yeah. The Canada thing was already announced in December 2024. They're just repackaging it as though it's a new thing. Yeah, but guess what? Donald Trump supporters can act like he got a fucking massive W by enforcing America's power at the global stage. Okay? And that's what really matters. They're just doing victory laps over here over virtually nothing. Okay? Hell yeah, brother. We did it. We freaking did it. Trump didn't ask for anything. I know. That's the funniest part. They were like, hey, why are you doing this? This is going to be damaging to both of our economies. We are your most valuable trade partner. And Donald Trump's response to that literally was, oh, we're killing it. Like fentanyl. We're just doing it for fentanyl, I think. I've decided now that it's fentanyl related. You're doing fentanyl at your border. That's why we're doing these issues. Why is Xi not getting an off-ramp? Is it because he isn't calling him as a power move? I don't know.
Do everything to avoid this totally unnecessary and stupid tariff wars or trade wars.
C'est simple. Nous, on pense que la priorité, cet agenda stratégique, comme une puissance se tient, devra se faire respecter.
What is clear, there are no winners in trade wars. If United States and the US start the trade war, then the one laughing on the side is China. We are very interlinked. We need America and America needs us.
Beide, dann wäre das schlecht für die USA, schlecht für Europa.
On the question, firstly, of tariffs, obviously it's early days. And I think what's really important is open and strong trading relations. And that's been the basis of my discussions with President Trump.
We start with our breaking news. President Trump has...
What? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. We're going to do tariffs on the UK? For what? Doing tariffs on the UK is like doing tariffs on Israel, dude. What are you talking about? What's next? Are we going to put tariffs on North Dakota? Like, what are you talking about? Also, what's the reason? Are they also trafficking fentanyl? Are they trafficking fentanyl into the United States, Donald? What is the UK doing?
Told the BBC that the UK is way out of line when it comes to trading with the US and that tariffs might be imposed. But he said his main aim is the European Union, which he has warned will face import taxes soon, accusing the EU of not buying anything from the United States. Let's have a listen to what President Trump told our correspondent Nomir Iqbal during a press huddle at Joint Base Andrews.
Will you pull me next on Paris? Would you consider taxing the UK, for example?
Well, we're going to see what happens. It'll happen, but we'll see how things work out. It might happen with that, but it will definitely happen with the European Union. I can tell you that, because they've really taken advantage of us. And, you know, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They take almost nothing. And we take everything from them, millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see. The UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity, what they've done.
What's the relationship with the EU?
Well, Prime Minister Starmer has been very nice. We've had a couple of meetings. We've had numerous phone calls. We're getting along very well. We'll see whether or not we can balance out our budget. With the European Union, it's a $350 billion deficit. So obviously something's going to take place there.
Well, those comments from President Trump on the United Kingdom and European Union follows a furious backlash to his announcement of levies on goods from Canada, Mexico and China. He's expected to speak to the leaders of both Canada and Mexico later on Monday. On Saturday, Mr. Trump signed off on 25% tariffs on neighbouring Mexico and Canada, despite sharing a free trade pact. And he hit China with a 10% tariff, in addition to existing levies brought in by Joe Biden. All three countries have vowed retaliation, prompting concerns of a trade war and rising prices. But on his Truth Social platform, Mr. Trump said, "We will make America great again, and it will all be worth the price that must."
Are we sure Trump knows what tariffs will do? Yes, dude. Come on. Yes, there are people in his... No, I'm sorry. Like, there's no way. There's no way he doesn't understand what tariffs are. Okay? That's crazy. Yes, he's very stupid, but I think he understands what tariffs are. Like, maybe he's using... I mean, Themasius says something in the chat that I think could be the reason, where he's just, like, trying to bully countries with tariffs in an effort to force them to purchase more American products or something. You know what I mean? I suspect that is like the only logical conclusion here. The only logic here is that, like, everyone needs to get a F-150. If you don't get the baby killer mobile, okay, if you don't purchase ginormous quantities of cars that literally will destroy your roads and won't even fit in your tiny little streets to begin with, that have no place to park them, we will try to, I guess, starve your country. I also think it's apparent he wants to abolish income tax and tariff act as a justification. Yeah, no, that's the other side of the story. Yes, he just wants to justify no income tax to help his billionaire friends, which is funny because, like, they already avoid all taxes. Like, the income tax is so marginal to the billionaires. It's just, like, in principle, the only progressive form of taxation that remains, and he wants it to all be regressive. Would you like 8 or 12 cylinders of Amerifat-made freedom? Yes.
Paid. Well, the issue of tariffs is likely to be discussed when Sir Keir Starmer meets European Union leaders in Brussels today. On Sunday, the British Prime Minister met the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz at Chequers. Sir Keir said he wants a reset in the relationship between the UK and its European neighbours, but Britain will not be rejoining the EU. It's the first time since Brexit that a British Prime Minister will attend a European Council meeting. Downing Street says it represents Sir Keir,
Donald Trump, the American dollar, and China. what to watch for during 2025. Donald Trump wants to boost exports, to bring American jobs back to the United States, and to shrink the American trade deficit. For that, he needs a lower value of the dollar. For that, he needs a weaker dollar. But at the same time, Donald Trump wants a strong dollar, and he will not brook any discussion of ending the exorbitant privilege, the centrality, the hegemony, the dominance of the American dollar in international transactions. Can Donald Trump possibly have both? Donald Trump's first problem is that the tariffs that he has invested so much political capital in introducing, announcing, and advocating for will most likely boost the value of the dollar. Why? Primarily because every time there is global uncertainty, whenever there is a problem that emanates from the United States, whether that was the 2008 crisis or whatever crisis there is a paradoxical...
Tariffs can't come anywhere near covering the income tax revenue the government receives. A universal tariff of 10% would cover 5% of the federal budget. Income tax receipts cover 50%. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's an adequate solution. I mean, tariffs also don't make sense either. It doesn't have to make sense, but at least there might be like some semblance of logic behind it. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying this is a reasonable solution. It's unreasonable, but at least there is like some semblance of a justification for it that is written out.
Rush of foreign money into the United States, boosting the dollar. So if Trump's tariffs create global uncertainty, the likely outcome will be an increased value of the dollar. And that's his first problem, because if his tariffs succeed in creating a lot of consternation across the world, in China, in the European Union, in Britain, the result will be that even if imports initially shrink as a result of these large tariffs, the influx of money into the United States of capital is going to boost the value of the dollar, therefore countering whatever effects the tariffs had on limiting imports and enhancing American exports. Donald Trump's second problem is that if he proceeds with his very large tax cuts, especially for corporations and the oligarchs and the very rich in the United States, this is also going to attract into the United States foreign capital. And what will that do? Boost the value of the dollar, and therefore enhance the gap between American savings and investment, with investment being much greater than savings, which is a root cause of the American trade deficit. Trump's third problem is the exorbitant privilege of the United States dollar. It is the reason why every time there is a crisis, especially one emanating from within the United States, the dollar goes up and the US trade deficit gets worse, especially during periods of reduced demand, jobs, and employment within the United States. So if Donald Trump were serious about shrinking the American trade deficit, he would want to do away with the exorbitant privilege of the United States dollar. But of course, not only will he never allow himself to do that, because his best friends, his tribe, are the rentiers and the financiers, who will be aghast if the United States loses the exorbitant privilege of its dollar. It is highly unlikely that Donald Trump will want to be the first American president after the Second World War that loses the hegemonic power of the United States by losing the exorbitant privilege of the United States dollar. Some argue, and I think they do have a point, that maybe what he's trying to do, what Donald Trump is trying to do, is he is threatening the world, China and the European Union in particular, with very large tariffs in order to come to an arrangement with them to accept a depreciation of the Chinese yuan, of the euro, of competing currencies, in order for the United States to see its exports rise and its imports diminish. To cut a deal, in other words, something along the lines of what Ronald Reagan did in 1985, the infamous Plaza Accords, supposedly a multilateral meeting between the Europeans, the Americans, the Canadians, the Australians. But in reality, what the Plaza Accords were about was an ultimatum by Washington on Tokyo. Appreciate the yen massively, or else I'm going to slap large tariffs on Japanese exports. The Japanese are rolled over. They did as they were told. The reason why Japan's massive growth rates between 1950 and 1985 were eliminated, and why Japan lost its verve, its dynamism, was because they accepted those Plaza Accords. Is China likely to accept a new Plaza Accords? I assign a 0 probability to that possibility. China is no Japan. Japan was an occupied country by the United States. The United States wrote its constitution. There are tens of thousands of American soldiers still occupying Okinawa.
Yeah.
China, I will repeat this once more, is not Japan. It is
our foreign adversary is not going to behave like a vassal state, especially after they have seen the impact of a vassal state caving. The only economist I trust is Giannis. He invented the TF2 economy. It's true. Giannis Varoufakis, one of my favorite guests I've ever had on the broadcast. Also another terrorist, just like myself. Mr. Terror supporter, very vocal advocate of Palestinians, and former Greek finance minister, one of the leaders of the M25. A chatter, part of the same party as Giannis, said he was interested in talking with you again and reached out to you. Oh, he is? I would love to have him on again. I'll hit him up. That's my goat, dude. Yeah. Giannis's wonderful contributions to modern discourse are becoming more important by the day. Techno-feudalism, obviously his latest book, shines a fantastic light on the neo-feudalism that is happening in the tech sphere. That's my goated Greek right there, the Greek freak. Let's continue.
It's highly unlikely that they will accept at a time when the capital account of China, if anything, would recommend from an economic point of view a depreciation of the yuan. They will never accept a massive appreciation of the kind that would make the difference for the United States trade deficit in the way that Donald Trump would like. So this is pie in the sky. No new Plaza Accords between the United States and Beijing this time are on the horizon. In that sense, it looks very unlikely that what Donald Trump wants, at least both his objectives of shrinking the US trade deficit and maintaining the exorbitant privilege of the dollar, that both these objectives will be satisfied at once in 2025, in the next 4 years. The great question, however, for 2025 and beyond, concerns China's dilemma. Will Beijing decide to stay put, gaining time until the United States' internal contradictions, Trump's conundrum and dilemma, plays out? Or will Beijing make the choice, which it has not made yet? They have not made up their minds yet, and I think reasonably, will, however, at some point make the choice, make the decision to convert the BRICS area into a new version of Bretton Woods, just as Bretton Woods had at its heart the US dollar, for the BRICS area to have the yuan at its heart, with more or less fixed exchange rates between the yuan, the rupiah, and other currencies, and with a view to recycle China's surpluses within the BRICS area, because that would be the greatest and most lethal danger for the exorbitant privilege of the dollar. This is not a decision that has been made as yet. Well, in 2025 or in the years following 2025, I think we shall know the answer. Till then, be well.
Sun Tzu, never interrupt your opponent while he's in the middle of making a mistake. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you can't force China's hand, if you can't actually force China's hand, all you're doing is forcing your allies, your trade partners, your closest trade partners into Chinese hands by playing, nuclear madman with tariffs with everyone else. Now, obviously, there's a decent amount of Orientalism and white supremacy that plays a role in this process that will never allow them to fully subscribe to like Chinese hegemony. But it does kind of feel like the Chinese century of prosperity is upon us, and Donald Trump is accelerating everything in that direction. While ironically enough, I guess the most reasonable approach to it, if there is one, is that he is He's trying to supercharge the American economy by forcing our allies at gunpoint to basically turn around and purchase more American products. Anyway, KB Birdie, this is a beautiful. Thank you for the doodles. Bro, I closed my Duolingo class for listening to you say that. This economist is not wrong, but when tariffs lead to a recession in 1 to 2 years, all these things become details. I'm also an economist. I know it's a very niche topic that you will probably yell at me for bringing up, but the plastic bottle machines that the EU has forced countries like Malta to implement is basically a tax on the working class. Nobody cares about the negative effects of the EU power on small member nations. Someone said you hate your chatters. Yeah, I famously hate my chatters. And that's why I spend virtually every waking moment, no matter where I'm at in the world, by interacting with my community and doing content. This is definitely correct. I also famously, I hate my chatters, and I'm basically a slave to my community, and I'm terrified of disagreeing with my community, which is why I always yell at my community all the time. I both famously hate my chatters, but also am a slave to them, and also constantly are afraid of being seen as at odds with my community, which is a hive mind, of course. But I also do yell at them actively, and then people clip that and go, Hassan is so mean to his community. Once again, none of it has to make sense. As long as it is like in the direction of negative commentary against someone that you despise, someone that you don't like, then it doesn't have to make sense at all. I hope you had a good time yesterday taking the day off. I had a fantastic time yesterday taking the day off. I do, however, have an issue when I do take the day off. I have an issue with like what to do with my free time. But because I'm such a goal-oriented person, I have to, in my brain, I have to be like, all right, now that I have this time, to myself, I must actually, complete different things that I must do. This is a good opportunity to go and get a massage, hoping that this deep tissue massage will solve some of the pain that I've had. It's not like crazy pain or anything like that, but that's what I did. I literally slept, got a massage, ate delicious Wagyu sukiyaki last night. It was amazing. Wake and I had a pound of Wagyu each. I linked up with Mr. Arthur and Miss Giff and some other people, and it was great. I think I needed it because I needed to, I definitely needed to, I had a lot of sleep debt. Someone in the chat said, ew, Miz. Don't worry. You're going to see a lot more of Miz for the next 3 days because he's out here. Bro's doing the Jordan Peterson carnivore diet. No. I still have my carbs. Don't worry. U.S. tariffs on Canada pauses. Canadians hit out at Trump. Oh, I also dressed Miz up. If you want to see, Miss Giff landed in Japan. I'm going to show you this real quick, and then we're going to continue with the tariffs talk. Miss Giff lands in Japan. He's dressed like shit. Okay. He's dressed like absolute dog shit. And I was like, dude, this is the most unacceptable thing I've ever seen. You have to fix this immediately. I was also featured in the Akahata newspaper alongside March. You can kind of see in this photo. I posted it on my Instagram post as well. And I'll read you guys the translation of the Akahata newspaper in a second. Here's me getting a massage, feeling sad now that everyone left and Miskiv is here. But yeah, I took him to a Beams, and I basically made him get clothes so he would look cool. Okay. I made him get a barber jacket, a nice little black turtleneck, and nice pants. And I made him get some new shoes too. Like, I changed his entire outfit, and they were making fun of us because I made him dress like myself, basically, like my child. Why do your legs look freakishly short in that pic? It's because I have this very long sweater on, and the pants are also very baggy. Are you going to transition into being a Japanese streamer instead of a Turkish one? Dola's all style now. No. Yeah, dad took his stepson shopping. That's the vibes you got. Yeah, he's a little mini me. But yeah. What has been the Japan trip highlight so far? Every day has been a highlight. The low light has been yesterday when everybody left, and it wasn't even because like, oh, I'm gonna miss them, which obviously that is a part of it. But it reminded me that my time in Japan is coming to an end as well. And that's what made me sad, because I don't want my time in Japan to end. However, every single person I talked to talked very seriously. Every single person that I have talked to out here have very seriously been like, why don't we just live here? Why don't we just live here? And the issue for me is the time difference is far too severe. Like I would live here. I would live here if it wasn't for the severe time zone difference. Like, not even a question. But unfortunately, just change schedule. No, dude. I need it to be like 11 a.m. PST is already late as hell. JCP needs to work on immigration reform. There's only one reason why I can't live out here. And well, it's not even the one reason why I can't live out here is not even necessarily that I don't speak Japanese. I don't even care about that. The major reason why I can't live out here is straight up because the time zone difference is so severe that if I were to live out here, I would have to wake up at like 3 a.m. My entire day would be the exact opposite. Bro, you're literally getting 35K every stream. Yeah, but that's not because I'm in Japan. That's because Donald Trump is ruining the fucking planet and everyone is trying to make sense of it all. Okay? And also because Ethan has nuked me so hard that my career has fallen off a cliff. That's why. He's caused me to fall on somehow simultaneously. By the way, you have to see this one. Ethan Klein, in his latest display of ignorance, refers to the fascist Israelis attacking 8 convoys as benign dudes who look like they're doing charity. Just in case you were wondering why he's so afraid to debate Hassan directly about such issues. These inbred fucking douchebags in the background.
Like, these are just dudes standing back there.
Entirely
like,
comprised of messy.
And this is an ongoing like joke with this community. These are just fucking benign dudes. Just, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. It looks like they're doing charity.
I know what they're doing. Yeah. That's awesome. He said they're just benign dudes, look like they're doing charity. They're literally far right, Jewish supremacist fascists. They're not doing charity, big dog. They're stealing. They're stealing the UNRWA aid. They're stealing the aid. And the people filming them are actually describing what they're doing. It's on the video. This is why I'm saying, like, what a ridiculous person, man. I don't know why he's still doing it.
Or something. It looks like they've got water or box.
He also doesn't understand, like, look. He does not understand this very important part of the conversation is that like you can get pro-Israel news virtually everywhere in mainstream media. Okay? Everything is massaged in a way to make it seem as though Israel is not a fascist apartheid state doing a genocide. Even when everything that is observable points to that reality. Right? There's a reason why people come to me to hear this side, even if they don't fully agree with my ideology, with the way I see the world. There are plenty of people who disagree with me and yet still rely on my coverage to develop a different understanding, to see what the other side's perspective is on certain issues. Okay? I do not hide my biases. I do not shelter you from that. Okay? I openly tell you what it is. But if you clip it in this way and go, oh, he's being racist towards Jewish people, he's being anti-Semitic, yeah, sure, you can get some people to believe that. But it is like, but you're just doing a disservice. You're doing a disservice to your audience, and you're doing a disservice to the truth.
Or something like they're helping, and he's going, oh, look at these inbred fucks. It's like, bro, who are you? What are you? Who are you? Like, how dare you?
Guys, the Israeli police is investigating the attack on the Gaza aid convoy.
Israeli security forces are paid to stop this happening. They either could not or would not, but clearly did not prevent Israeli settlers attacking an aid convoy yesterday from the West Bank bound for Gaza, where, say aid agencies, hundreds of thousands of civilians face famine.
But during the unloading and loading, settlers attacked these trucks, destroying the products and burning them in a systematic act of sabotage.
A continuation of...
Dude, they're so benign. They're being so benign. I'm very much not so left-leaning, but I 100% tune in whenever I want to hear the full story for any given geopolitical topic. Thank you for the content. There it is. That's it. You might not agree with me, but I'll show you my work every time. And you might have realized at this point that suspiciously, people who constantly say I'm spreading falsehoods will never actually show the full context and then constantly chirp about how I'm not watching these videos. Well, here's one aspect of the coverage and commentary that they do.
It is seen yesterday as settlers destroyed food at the same crossing point.
It's just bad faith. Any 2-hour compilation. You got baited into doing drama. I mean, you're right. Did you bring 3 monitors? No, I always bring 1 monitor. Fat man bad? He's not fat man. He's skinny man bad. You were looking at Barack Ravid's tweet too. Someone who isn't even anti-Israel. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, this is like, that's the funniest part about this process is that like people say like, oh, Hassan, you're a terror supporter or whatever, right? And it's like, I'm relying on Israeli news for most of my coverage. Okay. I feel like 95% of internet discourse is this, people going in circles about things that are easily verifiable. Law. Yeah. There's definitely a lot more of that than Palestinian news. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Serious. With Elon taking over the treasury and stealing who knows how much info is there a U.S. for you to come back to, wondering where to escape? There's no way that you can escape the United States anyway. That's not a thing that you can do. What did you think about Canada targeting specifically red states and some of their retaliation? I think it's not. It's a weird way to approach it because there are plenty of wonderful people that live in the red states as well. But like, I mean, I think universal tariffs is understandable as a retaliatory measure regardless. You know what I mean? Genuine question. Why do you call yourself a socialist and not a communist? I don't care. I call myself a leftist regardless. I don't even usually call myself a socialist. I don't care what people call me. I don't care about these labels. You can call me whatever you want. I call myself a capitalist too. Oh shit, Shibuya boys. This is a beautiful work of art. You just call yourself a Marxist? Exactly. Ethan Klein claims the Houthis brought back slavery. The second source he cites is an Al Jazeera documentary that it makes it clear within the first 2 minutes that they're reporting on a time period beginning at least 4 years prior to the Houthi takeover.
I almost forgot the most fun one. They brought back slavery.
Do you think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing...
I almost forgot.
This is an investigation into slavery in Yemen, with local journalists and human rights campaigners forming part of the Al Jazeera team. In June 2010, a local Yemeni newspaper, Al Masdar, reported that slavery not only existed, but was growing in Yemen. It published the story of 500 alleged slaves in the country.
Yeah, the first headline is Saudi propaganda article that says sources say without naming the sources, Lamau. Yeah, I saw that. The first source he cites is a paper owned by a member of the Saudi family, the ruling family of Saudi Arabia. They've been fighting a war against the Houthis, their geopolitical enemy, since 2014. I've literally covered this article on stream before. Stop clicking links. Okay, you're right. I should stop clicking links. Oh, this is my favorite way. Okay, going back to domestic politics and not like Ethan Klein. One of my favorite things that the Republicans are doing, is this, where they present like obviously anti-American consumer related issues in a way where they bring up the culture war to make it seem like it's a good thing, right? Here, and you'll see a lot more of this. It's like the whole actually paying more for eggs is patriotic, and you're too like soy cucked and a libtard to understand that. Like it's shit like that basically. I hope someone makes a video countering all of Ethan's points so soon so I don't have to actually watch Ethan's video. I mean, you can if you want to. I don't give a shit. Go watch Ethan's video. That's the thing that I think a lot of his community doesn't understand. Like they think that I'm like afraid of this video or something when it's like it's all bad face smears that I've addressed a million times over. A fucking congressperson working alongside Sex Pestany literally compiled some of those clips out of context in a congressional header letterhead that they sent to Twitch. You think I'm not familiar with these clips? I know where they come from. They come from a website that is now defunct, but used to exist, that started off on October 10th, 2023. Okay? October 10th, 2023. The website was called Hasanabi.com, where a compilation of clips where I will be advocating for something that is clipped out of context to make it seem like I'm advocating against said thing would appear on that website on a daily basis. These guys literally saw a genocide unfolding in the aftermath of October 7 and thought, how can we make this about Hassan and attacking Hassan? It's psychotic. You put the Hamas headband on you in this vid? Yeah, I don't really care. Also, Al Jazeera isn't a reliable source on Yemen, given their involvement in the genocide and support of the pro-Saudi government. No. The Al Jazeera documentary is literally criticizing Saudi-backed slavery in Yemen back in 2010. The Saudi news was claiming it was the Houthis actually in 2014 and beyond. Al Jazeera never claimed slavery. It was because of the Houthis. When you say the Burger Reich is here, should we actually be concerned about death camps and need to get out? I'm trans, or is that kind of fear-mongering? All my foreign friends think I'm going to get gassed any day now. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be death camps. He really got upset. Philly D's video did not cover y'all's drama. When the world was falling apart, he said he didn't even mention me and Hassan. Why would he do that? There is like 700 things that are incredibly prescient and much more important to cover than rehashing the same clips out of context that people have been blasting on the timeline in perpetuity for the past 16 months at this point, with the backdrop of it being a fucking genocide. It's ridiculous. Bro, the fact that you answered, I don't know, the death camps kind of says it all. Well, it's because it's not going to happen yet, okay? It's not. But that's the whole point. The Madagascar plan was simply a plan of mass deportation of Jews in Germany, right? That's how it starts. So I don't know where it goes, and it's entirely dependent on the level of resistance that comes after. It's also somewhat dependent on the incompetence of the leadership in implementing these initiatives. The only one of the only things that we can rely on at this point is not necessarily the Democratic Party, who has done a piss poor job of fighting back against these sorts of things, but perhaps the sheer incompetence of those at the administrative body, kind of like the whole "we tried to do a coup in Venezuela and failed" attitude. You know what I mean? But there are some funny moments that take place in this process, such as this one, where the Trump administration will do something horrible. What? Honestly, don't think Ethan is a bad person. Think he just went down a rabbit hole. Think if he said I fucked up, you'd be fine with him again. Don't feel that you are that petty. I mean, he spent an entire year, but yeah, as long as he apologized and made it right, and not to me, by the way, but to like all of the people that he has smeared in bad faith and try to make it up to them, I don't really care. I don't even care if he just stopped talking about me or Israel in particular. Like, I don't know if I'll ever view him in the same light ever again, but it's not even for my own brand or my own personal success or whatever. I think it's like good for his own mental health as well. Good for his own community if he just like stopped these ridiculous things that he's doing. Anyway, we're getting sucked into drama again. This is irrelevant. All right. I just can't seem to explain this thing that is in front of me. Okay. So the American government will do something that's awful, right? They'll be like, we're signing an executive order that is going to make the price of eggs $25, okay, for a dozen. And then Republicans will immediately look to make that come across as based, okay? This is actually based. You're soy cooked. You're soy pilled and gay if you think that like eggs should be $4 a dozen, right? And here's yet another example of this from self-declared American supremacist ALX. The IRS basically is deleting the direct file tax program, which allowed Americans for a brief moment in time to file their taxes directly with the IRS, no longer relying on Intuit and all of these other cottage industries that have been designed to make the IRS tax filing process as complicated as possible so they can make money and also steal all of your data. And then oftentimes, due to security leaks and compromises, leak all of that data and reveal it for all to see, all the way down to your social security number. So this was actually a good thing. The direct file tax program was not only a good thing, but it was a step in the right direction. And it was also helpful for American taxpayers, right? And the far left government-wide computer office that was recently taken over by allies of Elon Musk is also the same agency that built Elizabeth Warren's direct file tax program. Direct file puts the government in charge of preparing people's tax returns for them. Yeah. Felix says it's gay and dysgenic to do your taxes without paying for shitty software that absolutely fucking no one likes. Do you want to be based and support into it? And that's precisely what's going on here. The dynamic is clear. They will turn around and be like, oh, this thing that was like actually really good for you is actually gay. And we're so sick for deleting it. Look at what my dad said when I asked him about this. After the disastrous Obamacare rollout, I would never endorse a new Fed website, particularly one involving sensitive info, without a couple of years of them working out the kinks. Never trust your own government with any more personal info than absolutely necessary. Does your dad not realize that your government already has this information? I'm so confused. Does your dad also not realize that like private corporations are infinitely worse at protecting your data than the federal government is? It's taxes. Here's something that is mind-boggling to Americans. In a country like Norway, for example, the government already files your taxes for you because they know what you have to pay the government, and they, at the end of the year, will just send you a receipt. Other countries have a more efficient process, but those countries also don't have industry. Those countries don't actually have an entire cottage industry designed off of the awful and complicated way of filing your taxes. Yeah, I just get a letter and I'm supposed to check if everything's okay. That's all I got to do. Yep. Even in a country like Belgium. Think about that. Country's fake. Not even real. Doesn't have a government. Okay? Not a real country. Much more efficient tax process. Why? Well, because it's the government. Of course they know what you have to fucking pay taxes. Hold on. All right. But yeah, U.S. tariffs on Canada pause as Canadians hit out at Trump.
Reprieve for Canada and Mexico, just hours before the deadline for the United States to slap punitive tariffs on all Canadian exports. Canadian prosperity and hundreds of thousands of jobs safeguarded at least for the next 30 days. Posting on X, Justin Trudeau said he had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners.
As a Muslim, why do you find it so easy to sweep for the Uyghur genocide? Wait, what? While being so outspoken about Palestine? Watch the video, Urkel. First of all, sweep. This is like the new terminology from drama slop tubers that I've been hearing a lot. And as soon as I hear it, immediately I think to myself, oh, this person is not a very serious person, doesn't care about politics at all, and simply cares about the drama of it all. And you've demonstrated that, okay? I have talked about the Chinese surveillance apparatus, literally connected it back to the surveillance technology that's also being used in the West Bank numerous times. You are not going to get a decent read. I'm being super charitable to you, okay? You're not going to be able to get a decent read on complex geopolitical issues and American foreign policy from people that don't have any understanding of it whatsoever or no real interest in covering it whatsoever, that are simply relying on Redditors that have clipped things out of context. That's why you're going to come in here and say, oh, why don't you care about this thing? Why do you not cover this thing? When, of course, I have covered it for hours upon hours. Okay? That's the problem here. The problem here is that you are misguided on something and you think I'm deflecting. Okay? When you're done, can you zip my pants back up, please? Okay, got it. You did not deserve an ounce of charity. It turns out you were just simply in here to be a fucking douchebag. They love that Uyghur bait is tragic. Yeah, ironically enough, my takes on this, once again, my takes on this have, always been incredibly critical of the Chinese government, and yet most people don't hear that because they don't actually watch. They literally only fucking see clips. And when I explain to them that not only have I talked about the Chinese re-education camps and also mass surveillance and how unacceptable it was in an effort to combat Uyghur separatism in Xinjiang, okay, and that those camps have actually stopped existing, you can so simply say, well, I didn't see that article. You just made it up. Well, that article does exist. You just didn't do your due diligence, either because you're stupid or you're disingenuous. Maybe both. Okay? That was what was so crazy about this. Here it is. Why did you say there was a genocide? Hasanabi reacts to the AP article on China and Uyghurs. This is from October 14th, 2021, streamed on 10/13/2021. This is the article that I was referencing. But once again, you know, this is not necessarily prescient or important here. We're talking about the tariffs.
And increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. Around a quarter of all trade between the United States and Canada crosses that bridge, the Ambassador's Bridge. It's £260 million worth of goods every single day. A lot of them cars, car parts, many of which crisscross the border multiple times before they end up either at an assembly plant in Detroit on that side of the river or here in Windsor, Ontario, which is Canada's car capital. These are tightly integrated supply chains, hugely complicated to unpick and hugely costly if every crossing involves a tariff. Ib, who we interrupt over his lunch at a car repair workshop, is not positive about the future.
It's not easy for people as is today to survive out here with pay and, you know, taxes as is. Now we're adding an extra 25%.
He's an idiot. I don't think anyone from Canada is going to pay him anything to ship their cars over there. I don't think that's...
Do you think he actually thinks that you'll become his 51st state?
I think he needs to go back to school and do a lot of research on what's reality in life.
Mexico has won an 11th hour reprieve, saying it will strengthen its northern border with an additional 10,000 troops in return for a 1-month pause in tariffs. The United States, in turn, promising to combat the flow of guns into Mexico and the hands of the cartels.
I told him that we've been working together on immigration, that there were results, always based on protection and respect for human rights. And then we talked about his interest, and ours as well, in reducing the traffic of fentanyl. But I also explained to him the seriousness of the amount of high-powered weapons that enter from the United States.
For all the noise, Canadians remain baffled as to what exactly it is that Donald Trump wants from them.
The pretext offered is the flimsiest pretext possible. Less than 1%, in fact, around 0.2% of the fentanyl that comes into the U.S. comes through the Canadian border. If border security were the issue, this could be solved in 5 minutes.
Fresh off the plane from his weekend in Mar-a-Lago, the US president lashed out at the EU, the UK getting a mention too. No alliance is sacred when it comes to America first.
They take almost nothing.
Can you explain what's going on with Trump/Musk and the U.S. aid, and if it's an impeachable crime? Sorry if it was already covered. I haven't gotten to the U.S. aid side of the story yet because we're still covering the tariff side of the story, and I think this is just going to be an ongoing issue with offering any sort of coverage to the Trump administration because they just hit every angle so fast and undermine virtually every aspect of the federal government. But if your question is like, oh, is this an impeachable offense? Make no mistake. Just because something is unconstitutional or technically an impeachable offense doesn't mean that those things are going to be prosecuted. Okay. As a matter of fact, there's a very high likelihood that they will not be prosecuted. Part of the reason is because the Democratic Party is in a state of panic and chaos right now, and are much weaker than they were even the first go around when Donald Trump became president the first time around. But also the other part of it is because Donald Trump was president the first time around, and in that process, and in the 4 years after that process, with an inept and weak administrative state, the Republican Party has basically set this entire structure up in a way where even someone as crazy as Donald Trump can very deliberately and very clearly undermine the previous power of the federal government at his behest. And there is not really anything you can do. The greatest example of this, of course, is the United States Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court has a Republican supermajority, a conservative supermajority. So any kind of unconstitutional act implemented by this government will very easily make its way up lower courts all the way to the Supreme Court and will quickly be solidified. Okay? There are obviously certain things that maybe they'll, push back against, but ultimately there's not really much anyone can do other than direct action and consistently trying to fight back against this administration. But yeah, there is virtually no opposition party at this point.
and we take everything from them, millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see. The UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure that one, I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity.
Taking a wrecking ball to long-standing trade ties would fray partnerships and put a strain on the global economy. Testing those partnerships, too, is a dangerous game, but one Trump seems intent on playing.
Do you think Mexico and Canada complying with the border reinforcement is good or bad? I feel like it makes the MAGA people think Trump got an upper hand on them. Yeah, I think a lot of what is going on with Mexico and Canada is basically just, trying to get the old man to feel like he's got a W, okay? In order to get him off your back, you're just like, yes, sir, you're doing great, sir. And that's precisely what happened with both Canada and Mexico in this process, where they didn't like genuinely change anything. They were just trying to appease him in the most performative ways possible, because there's not really much else you can do. Considering how much awesome power the hegemonic superpower has, if you have a president that is willing to do insane shit for no real decipherable reason, you just have to say, oh yeah, we're totally doing what you want us to. You're so brilliant. You're so awesome. It doesn't really change anything though, ultimately, because like they might not. The Trump administration might not actually concede. He could just like tomorrow turn around and say, no, we're doing tariffs again.
Damn, this guy's good.